So what's going on, guys? So I'm going to have another how-to video, and this actually has more to relate to an actual digital camera, specifically more my Nikon D90, and it's more about fixing a lens. It's the 18 to 105 Nikkor lens, and I'm going to be talking about and probably obviously showing you how to fix your bayonet. For those who don't know what your bayonet is, it's the part that screws onto the Nikon F mount on the camera body, and mine just so happened to snap, and so that's like when you screw the lens on it, what holds it to the body. So that way I only have 2 points that screw onto the body, so it's very unsteady and stuff like that. I actually had my camera in my bag, and I dropped it, like the body was facing, like the lens was facing up, the body was down. I dropped it probably 6 inches off the ground, and it just so happened to snap the bayonet on it. So I'm going to be teaching you how to replace it. It'll also work for any other Nikon lenses, like the 55 to 200 lens. It would work on it because it's the same bayonet. I mean, you have to get a different size bayonet for it, but it both have bayonets in it. So to give you guys more of an up close of what I'm talking about, if you don't know what the bayonet is, so it's the part like around here that screws onto the lens, and you can see right here where mine snapped. You can see that little nice break in it right there. Let's see if I get closer. So you can see where it just so happened to snap off. So that's what it's supposed to look right here. So it's going to be a lot of, I have the part right here. Let's see if I can. So this is a new bayonet that I'm going to replace the old one with. And as you can see, it's probably the whole, like this whole piece around, basically in this part right here. I got this on Amazon for like $9, so it's not that expensive at all. And the reason I'm doing the how-to is because there's like 2 videos on YouTube showing you how to replace this, and they're really poorly done, and they don't really explain what you're supposed to do. It just really shows what you are supposed to be doing. And they're fast forward, so they're like really fast, and you don't get a clear look of what you're supposed to be doing. So I'm going to do a how-to video to replace this to help you guys out. Obviously it'll be fast forward when I'm undoing the screws and stuff like that, but I'm going to stop and talk about like each piece to replace and how to replace it, because there's a lot of pieces when this comes off the camera. You're going to have the sensor right here that hooks up onto it for your autofocusing and stuff like that. There's going to be another sensor in there too that hooks onto it, so there's a lot of screws that are going to come off this. So I'll be showing you how to do that. So obviously things that you're going to need, besides your broken lens here, is a precision screwdriver. I don't have a set, but I do have this one that has different styles of screwdrivers on it. So it's micro, and the one on there fits to probably all the screws on there. So if you're going to do this, you're going to want to probably have a set of micro screwdrivers or precision screwdrivers, like eyeglass screwdrivers and stuff like that would work, obviously. Obviously your new bayonet, your broken lens, and that's really all you need. The purpose for the towel in the bowl is the bowl to keep the screws in so I don't lose them because they're small as shit. The white towel to minimize dust, because this table is really like dirty, so I don't want to get dust in my lens, especially when taking it apart. So I'm going to get into it. So after you get all those screws off, this piece is going to come off. So you want to remember. So I figured I'd provide some close-ups throughout this, since it's not going to be as close as I want it to be and I can't get it at a downward angle. So with the fisheye, I'm going to show some close-ups of the lens as I deconstruct it. So as you can tell, get this piece. So I removed one of the pieces so far. It was 5 screws. So I removed this piece from on top of here that sat there. So the next part is going to be removing the actual bayonet around it. So you're going to have these screws around here to remove, and it's going to have to so this is going to have to move out of the way, and as this pulls off, you're going to have a wire attached to it, and also like this part right here is going to be attached to it, and then you're going to have this part right here, as you can tell, that fires it. Let me take the lens cap off here so you can kind of see, like when you put it all back together before you put the this piece back on here, to check that you've put the lens back together correctly, as if this mechanism moves, you put it on back right. So I'm going to provide another close-up as I get this part all set up. So I'm going to go back to the other lens, filming me taking the screws out. So with actually switching those lenses back, I almost put my broken lens that's taken apart onto my camera, so that probably would have ended well. So you're going to remove these 3 screws on the outer. So after removing all those screws on the bayonet, you come to this part. So you have the bayonet off, and then you have it attached by this tiny wire that you want to be careful of. That's attached by a screw, and you're going to remove that, and the mechanism, carefully dangle this mechanism with the long this long piece on there. There's a whole mechanism that makes it move. So you're going to remove that and put it into the other bayonet. See, as it moves, it's going to be very delicate. There's a spring that you're going to have to be careful of right there that you don't want to lose. So I'm going to take this off as careful as possible without damaging it, because this screw is actually really tiny. So I'm going to be careful because it's in there pretty tight. Watch me do this entire video and not be able to put it back together. Oh, that was... Alright, so as you can see, I have the new bayonet and I have that mechanism put in there correctly. See, I don't want to move it too much because it'll fall out like earlier, but see as it moves. But the thing that you want to keep in mind that I thought was the biggest pain, you'll see where that spring is right on there, is getting that off and on, because it will fall off. So I want to keep that in mind. So I have this put back in there, so now the only thing is to get the little wire attached to it and actually putting it back in there and getting all the screws in. So after that discouraging moment where the wire broke, I tucked it in under where it goes and I screwed it in anyways. So I think the only thing that it'll affect on the lens is the VR settings, because I think that's where the wire goes to. So I usually keep it off, so hopefully it doesn't really matter. So I got the bayonet in and I screwed in, I didn't screw in this part yet, but I did get the sensor back in place. A trick to get this in, because you're going to have to keep your finger behind it so it sits there and gets the screw in, to pull the lens all the way out to its fullest focal length, and then put your thumb there so you don't smudge that, but I still smudge my lens anyways. So I'm going to get this part screwed in, and then I'm going to test the camera. We'll test the lens on my other camera to see if it works, which it should. So hopefully I'm going to put that together. I'm going to put these final screws in without filming it, and then I'm going to be testing the camera. Or, well, lens, sorry. Alright, so fix my lens. I got the new Bayonet on there, and it works perfectly fine. It wasn't that time consuming. Probably took me a half an hour. Probably a little longer because I had to film it and switching in between lenses to get the detailed shots of fixing the lens. So with that wire that I did say that broke, that I said would be bad if you broke it, I surfed through a couple of forums, and that it's a ground wire, so it does technically work without it being attached at all. So you should be fine if you do break that wire. Don't worry, just put that sensor part back in there and screw it in there. And with the part that I bought from Amazon, the part where the sensor goes in, where that ground wire that I broke, wasn't threaded, so you have to thread it with the screw yourself. And putting it back together wasn't hard at all. I just used the other lens that was the same as this one for points of reference for the screws go, because obviously I forgot where some of them went, which is understandable because they're small screws. But it wasn't hard at all. Like I said, half an hour to put it back together. We'll deconstruct, like take it apart and put it back together. It was a half an hour plus give or take 20 minutes filming it, maybe not even. So yeah, $10 to do it yourself. I think that was fine. It took me not that long. So I hope this helped. So it does work. So I hope this helped a lot, and I encourage you to do it yourself. I honestly think it's easy. And so thanks for watching.